There
I
you
think
go.
most people point to 1982, though, in Dallas, Texas. Ric Flair and Kerry Von Erich in a cage match. That's the match and the angle that led to the Freebirds and the Von Erich feud. Is that probably the most important Christmas night show, do you think, in history?
I mean, look, in every territory, it was their biggest night. I'm sure we could probably look up a big Lawler or a Lawler Dundee, a big feud and all that. But as far as the legend and the lore and the angle that was shot to make money coming out of it, Conrad, I would be very, very hard pressed unless we really dig into the research. I don't think there's even a close second. Because when you think about the heyday of WCCW, when you really, to me, think about the heyday of the Von Erichs, it's synonymous with Michael and Terry and Buddy and the Freebirds and the Von Erichs and everything that goes with it. Like I said, I don't think there's even a close second. And that's the angle. Correct me if I'm wrong. That set it off, right?
Yep.
Kerry, they had built and built and built for the world title. Yeah. I mean, I just think that
they carried it to the next year, Jeff, not to cut you off, but the next year, Christmas night, it was Kevin and Mike beating Terry, Gordy, and Buddy Roberts in a loser leaves town match. So they got it kicked off Christmas of 82, and Christmas 83 was the loser leaves match.
See that? I mean, that's it. You know, a lot of money was drawn, a lot of tickets sold in that year. God almighty. But I'm still going back to 79. The Hulkster is putting over Bullet in Knoxville as what I'm saying is as Sterling Golden.
Yes.
A year later, Hulk, the seeds were being sown because there was another clip the other day online of him working Terry Funk. That was like 85 Saturday night main event.
That's right. Second one.
Look, and the Hulkster, and I'm sure Terry said, Hulkster, put on your working boots, but just kind of, wow, that's a 3 to 5 short years. He went from Sterling Golden to the most recognizable box office attraction in the history of the business. It's pretty amazing.
I know that in 91, there was a WCW show in Atlanta with Lex Luger, who was the world champion, beating Rick Steiner in the main event. They had the tag team champions, Ricky Steamboat and Dustin Rhodes, beating Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton in a 2 out of 3 falls match. But maybe the biggest, most notable thing that happened in WCW on Christmas night is Jushin Liger pinning Brian Pillman to win the WCW Light Heavyweight Championship. But it feels like from that point forward, wrestling on Christmas night was no longer as big of a deal. I know that in 95, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Jim Cornette, put out a pretty special card called Christmas Chaos, where you got Cactus Jack teaming with Tracy Smothers to take on Candido and Boo Bradley in a Falls Count Anywhere match. But it was the Rock and Roll Express one last time against New Jack and Mustafa to win the Smoky Mountain Tag Team titles. But it does feel like when the territories went away, so did wrestling on Christmas night. Is that kind of fair to say?
Yeah, because it morphed into, and look, we're last 15 minutes we've talked about Christmas night, but I just look, you kind of take the good with the bad, the territory, because it morphed into the week between Christmas and New Year's. And look, the WWE still to this day, but man, you talk about historically speaking, and I know this is a little before my time, the double shots that will run if things feel right on Saturday and Sunday, and even that week, lots and lots of tickets have been sold, historically speaking. So Conrad, it went from the big show on Christmas to the Christmas week run of shows that led up to New Year's Eve day.
It's always been a big time in professional wrestling. And this year, Dynamite is going to be here, man. I can't believe it, but Christmas falls on a Wednesday. Of course, it's not going to be live. It is going to be taped. But what's the best use of Santa Claus you remember seeing? Like, I know we've seen Mick Foley break out the Santa stuff before, and I know that once upon a time, Alberto Del Rio may or may not have ran over Santa. But I also know that Stone Cold Steve Austin, man, he was hitting a stunner on Santa. What was the best use of Santa that you remember in pro wrestling?
Guys, you know what? They all, when you talk about turkey suits, I think of Danny Engler, PKA, referee Rudy Charles, but no, Santa. Well, and look, I don't have any one instance, but you know, in the territories days, we like to get our mileage out of it. So, and Lawler had no problem booking Santa Claus versus, and whoever was chosen as Santa Claus, Santa probably worked twice that night. Once as whoever he really was, and then he came back as Santa. But Santa has had quite a few matches in the history of USWA or CWA at the time. But kind of, it's hard for me to think of just one Santa instance. I just would chuckle that when you would see on a window bill, a card in your insert, you know, first match, second match, third match, fourth match. Oh, and your special attraction tonight, Santa Claus versus fill in the blank as a heel. And I would think, what do the little kids in the audience think? Is he's going to come wrestle and then go back to the North Pole and I'll see you in a few days? I don't know. Good old professional wrestling, Connie.
Back in the day, Jeff, based on the rumor and innuendo, what you were hearing, were payoffs better on Christmas night?
Oh, yeah. No, that's like, I mean, even in the territory days, but certainly the, you know, I can't remember any big WCW runs on Christmas week, but the payoffs that came out of, I mean, and it still as of late, you know, it was East Coast and West Coast. And if you got the East Coast run, it would be Boston Garden, Madison Square Garden, a Chicago, a Detroit, and maybe a Philly, you know, 5 of the biggest markets. And the West Coast, you know, you for sure, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, probably a Phoenix. I don't know, one more, but you would get 5 straight days of big payoffs. So you definitely want it on those cards.
Did you put Christmas on a credit card? Don't stress out about that extra holiday spending. SaveWithConrad.com can help you consolidate all of your high interest rate credit cards into one much lower monthly payment. SaveWithConrad.com has helped families just like yours save up to $800 a month. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket. And did I mention no payments until March? So don't make saving money a resolution next year. Make it happen today at SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender.